From respect and resilience to money, honesty, hard work, and family history, we break down key lessons on how to lose gracefully and sit still long enough to learn what used to pass through generations. Stay watching to uncover the final forgotten art of the silent woodsman, a century-old tracking skill built on pure senses. There's a moment every grandfather recognizes. He's sitting across from his grandson at a dinner table, and the boy reaches across for something without a word. No please, no excuse me, just a hand cutting through the air, like nobody else in the room exists, and Grandpa goes quiet, not angry, just very, very aware that something needs to happen. Before that boy gets any older, manners are the foundation of respectful relationships, emotional intelligence, and lifelong success. That's not an opinion. That's the consensus from parenting experts and child educators who study this for a living. And yet, we live in such a me-centered culture that teaching children to show respect toward others is definitely not easy, which is exactly why grandfathers matter here. They don't have the same daily exhaustion parents carry. They can be consistent in a way that's calm rather than reactive. Now, here's what respect actually looks like for a boy under 10. It's not abstract. It's not a lecture. Manners are more than polite words. They help children show kindness, empathy, and respect for others. Young children who learn to use manners early develop stronger social connections because they understand how to treat others thoughtfully. That's the currency of every relationship a boy will ever have. In school, in friendships, eventually in work, and in love. Grandfathers understand something parents sometimes forget. While it is possible to get through life with bad manners, it's much easier to do so with good manners. And when etiquette expert Nick Layton asks the question nobody wants to sit with, if parents don't teach kids manners, who knows when or how they'll learn them later? The honest answer is, the world will teach them, and the world is not gentle about it. Here's what a grandfather actually does. He models it, not occasionally, constantly. Kids don't learn manners because they were lectured once. They learn because they see respectful behavior, practice it in low-pressure moments, and get calm guidance when they forget. So Grandpa holds the door. Grandpa says thank you to the waiter. Grandpa looks people in the eye when they speak to him. And the boy is watching every single second. Teaching boys to show respect toward others serves them well in the long run, in courtship and in business. Think about that for a moment. Every future employer, every future partner, every friend of consequence, they will all form their opinion of this boy within minutes of meeting him. And that opinion will be shaped almost entirely by how he carries himself and how he treats people. Grandpa gets to build that foundation now, quietly, one meal, and one conversation at a time. The specific things? They're simple. Say please and thank you, always. Don't interrupt others. Ask for permission first. Speak kindly about others. Follow the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. These are not revolutionary ideas. They are old, tested, and they work. Grandparents instill the importance of being polite and courteous from an early age, and they're not afraid to call out any mistakes. Although this can seem demanding at times, it's all in a boy's best interest. Learning how to mind his P's and Q's sets him up with the tools for future success in numerous situations. Using good manners shows consideration and respect for those around him and encourages them to reciprocate it back. And when a grandson grows into a man who knows how to walk into a room, greet people properly, listen before he speaks, and treat everyone from the CEO to the janitor with the same basic dignity, that's the grandfather's work. Right there. Here's a scene. Boy tries something new, maybe a sport, maybe a card game, maybe trying to build something in the garage with Grandpa. He gets it wrong. He gets it wrong again. And on the third time, something shifts in his face. His lip starts to go. He's about to quit. What happens next might be the single most important moment in that boy's young life. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks and handle life's challenges with a positive attitude. And it doesn't come pre-installed. It has to be built, deliberately, repeatedly, by someone who's already been through the fire and come out the other side. That person almost always is a grandfather. Many grandparents have faced significant hardships, such as wars, economic downturns, or personal losses. Their stories often highlight the importance of resilience and adaptability. There's something that happens when a boy sits with a man who has actually lived through something hard. Not hypothetically hard, actually, genuinely, concretely difficult. A grandfather who survived something, job loss, illness, grief, real failure, carries a kind of credibility that no motivational poster on a classroom wall will ever have. So when Grandpa says, "I've been knocked down harder than that, and I got back up," the boy believes him. Because he can see the lines on Grandpa's face. He can feel the weight behind the words. As much as it's important to teach kids how to be successful, it's also important to teach them how to deal with failure. It's okay to make mistakes and learn from them. Grandparents have the experience of a lifetime and are therefore the best people to teach grandkids this important life lesson. The mechanics of how you actually teach resilience to a boy under 10 are worth unpacking. First, you don't rescue him immediately. Instead of immediately offering solutions, you ask the child what he thinks he should do in a tough situation. This builds critical thinking and confidence. Second, you frame failure out loud. You say it plainly. This didn't work. Now what? You teach a child that failure isn't the end, but a stepping stone to growth. You share your personal setbacks and explain how you overcame them. That last part is the secret weapon. Grandpa's stories about his own failures do more in 5 minutes than a year of generic encouragement. Third, you adjust what you praise. You praise effort and process rather than just results. Statements like, "I'm proud of how hard you worked," encourage perseverance. A boy who hears this enough starts to understand something very few adults fully grasp. The trying is the point. The outcome is just information. Newer studies suggest that some grandparents function almost like bonus attachment figures, shaping everything from emotional resilience to social skills. So when a grandfather stays patient with his grandson's frustration, when he doesn't flinch at the boy's upset, when he just keeps showing up, calm, steady, and present, he's doing something that shapes the boy's entire nervous system. He's showing the boy what a regulated, grounded man looks like under pressure. When we deal with a tough situation in front of our children, what we want them to learn is that regardless of setbacks, we keep pushing forward. We want them to understand that it's okay to ask for help when needed. We want them to realize that the outcome of trials largely depends on our actions, and we are responsible for these actions. This teaches them resilience, an essential life skill we can pass on. By age 10, a resilient boy is not a boy who never cries. He's a boy who cries, collects himself, and tries again. That's the goal. That's what Grandpa is building. There's a particular kind of lesson that can only be taught with your hands. A boy can sit through 1,000 hours of classroom instruction and still not understand that effort. Real, physical, sustained effort is how things get done in the world. That lesson lives in a garage, in a garden, on a fishing dock, in a kitchen where Grandpa is teaching him to do something from scratch. When grandparents work hard, even if retired, they demonstrate a strong work ethic. That sentence does a lot of quiet work. It doesn't say talk about working hard. It says demonstrate it. A grandfather who picks up a tool and fixes something, who plants something and tends it, who finishes what he starts, that man is teaching his grandson something every single day without opening his mouth. As a mentor, it's important not only to demonstrate the value of hard work through your own example, but also to teach the importance of working hard. Through thoughtful instruction and guidance, boys can learn how to develop a strong work ethic that will serve them well as adults. Introduce them to the idea that with effort comes reward, and by having dedication and discipline, anything is achievable. Now, boys under 10 are not complicated about this. They want to do what Grandpa does. They want to carry the thing. Turn the wrench, dig the hole, water the plant. The desire is already there. The grandfather's job is not to ignite it. It's not to squelch it either. Don't shoo the boy away because he'll slow you down. Slow down. Let him in. Gardening is an excellent way for grandparents to instill a sense of responsibility and care for the environment in their grandchildren. Whether growing vegetables, flowers, or herbs, gardening offers numerous educational opportunities. Through gardening, children gain an understanding of nature. learning about the life cycle of plants, the importance of sunlight, water, and nutrients, and the interdependence of living organisms. But it's bigger than gardening. It's the attitude behind the task. A grandfather who doesn't cut corners, who does the job right even when nobody's watching, is teaching a standard. A boy picks that up. He starts to understand that there's a version of doing something where you go through the motions, and there's a version where you actually do it. And Grandpa always does it. That difference becomes part of who the boy believes he should be. Cooking and baking are timeless activities that bring families together. Grandparents often have a treasure trove of recipes passed down through generations, carrying stories and traditions along with them. Teaching grandchildren how to cook or bake gives them essential life skills and connects them to their heritage. And it does something else. It teaches a boy that some things take time. You can't rush bread. You can't microwave a relationship. Some things require patience and follow-through, and the kitchen is one of the first places a boy learns that. Cooking enhances creativity and teaches patience as children learn to follow instructions and wait for the delicious outcome. Waiting for the delicious outcome. That's a metaphor for virtually everything worth having in life. The deeper truth is this: a boy with a strong work ethic is a boy who doesn't need to be motivated externally. He carries the drive inside him. And research consistently shows that the most reliable way to build that internal drive in a young boy is through exposure to a man he admires who does hard things. Grandpa is that man. The garage is the classroom. The lesson is everything. Most boys grow up watching money disappear, out of wallets, off cards, through apps, without ever understanding what it actually is or where it comes from. By the time they're adults, they're already behind. The grandfather who sits his grandson down early, before age 10, and starts talking about money in plain terms, that grandfather is giving the boy a gift that compounds for the rest of his life. Fathers and grandfathers play a crucial role in shaping their children's financial attitudes and behaviors. Beyond providing for their families, they serve as mentors, guiding their children toward financial literacy and independence. Here's the thing about teaching money to a boy under 10. You don't need to explain the stock market. You need 3 jars. One for spending, one for saving, one for giving. That's it. That's the whole curriculum for this age. You let him put money in each one himself. You let him decide what to spend the spending jar on. And then you take him to the store, hand him his own money, and you watch him make choices. Children often emulate the financial habits of the adults around them. Those who demonstrate responsible spending, saving, and investing behaviors instill valuable lessons from an early age. Modeling prudent financial decisions, such as budgeting, prioritizing needs over wants, and avoiding unnecessary debt, lays the foundation for sound financial management. A grandfather can do this naturally, organically, without it feeling like a lesson. Take the boy grocery shopping. Let him see Grandpa compare prices. Let him see Grandpa choose the store brand. Let him see Grandpa put something back on the shelf. These are not big moments, but they accumulate into an understanding. Money is finite, choices have consequences, and spending is a skill just like anything else. Supplement formal education with practical lessons on financial literacy. Introduce budgeting, saving, investing, and credit management concepts through hands-on activities and real-life scenarios. Notice the phrase hands-on activities. That's where Grandpa has an advantage. He's not assigning homework. He's living it with the boy. He can walk him through a real budget, a real decision, a real trade-off. And the boy is inside it, not just reading about it. A recent study shows that 42% of parents feel they must teach their kids to invest long-term, which tells you that most families know this conversation needs to happen, but aren't sure how to start it. A grandfather who grew up with less, who remembers what it felt like to count every dollar, often has no trouble starting this conversation. He has the lived credibility to make it land. The giving jar matters too, because money isn't only about getting and keeping. In a world that often prioritizes material wealth, grandparents can teach the value of simplicity and gratitude. A boy who learns before age 10 that money is also a tool for helping other people, that giving is a form of power, not a loss, that boy grows into a man with a completely different relationship with wealth. He earns more, he keeps more, he enjoys it more, and he does more good with it, because Grandpa showed him what it was actually for. Here's a truth most grandfathers know deeply, and most boys learn the hard way. Everything good in a man's life is built on whether people trust him, his relationships, his reputation, his work, the opportunities that find him, and the ones that don't. All of it traces back to one thing. Do people believe what he says? The importance of truthfulness these days cannot be overstated, and if you tell the truth, it becomes part of your past. But if you don't, it becomes part of your future. Read that again. A lie doesn't go away. It follows you. It grows. It requires more lies to keep it alive. And a boy who learns that early, who feels it in his body as a truth rather than just hearing it as a rule, is a boy who will walk through life with a kind of freedom that dishonest people never get to feel. According to the wisdom passed from grandfather to grandson, being honest is the best way to live, and hard work never goes to waste. There are no shortcuts to success, and money can't buy true happiness. Now, here's the tricky part. Boys lie. Every boy lies. It's developmentally normal, and it doesn't mean the child is broken. It means he's human. The grandfather's job is not to panic when he catches the boy in a lie. It's to respond in a way that makes honesty feel like the better option, not just the obligatory one. One of the most important values a grandparent can pass on is that a promise is a sacred vow. It's a big word that can either make or break something, and it's usually the heart that breaks when that commitment isn't honored. This is where Grandpa can do something powerful. He can be honest with his grandson about himself, about times he wasn't honest, about what it cost him, about the slow, hard work of rebuilding trust once it's gone. Those conversations, a grandfather's real stories told plainly, hit a boy in a completely different place than any sermon ever could. Grandchildren can learn good morals and values by observing what grandparents say and how they act. That's the key word, observing. A grandfather who is honest in small moments, who says, "I don't know," instead of bluffing, who admits when he's wrong, who returns the extra change instead of pocketing it. That man is teaching his grandson what honesty looks like in the real world, not the heroic version. The everyday version that actually matters. Being a positive role model doesn't mean being perfect. No one is perfect. But it does mean making an effort to be the best man you can be. Showing respect, honor, and integrity are essential qualities of a good role model. The boy who learns honesty before 10 becomes the man who tells his boss the truth about what went wrong on a project instead of deflecting. He becomes the partner who has difficult conversations instead of avoiding them. He becomes the friend you can actually count on. All of that starts right here, with Grandpa holding the boy accountable. Not harshly, but consistently, and modeling what a man who tells the truth looks and sounds like. There is a window. It's not forever, and most families realize it's closed only after the fact, when the grandfather is gone and nobody thought to ask the questions that needed to be asked while there was still time. Spending time with grandparents allows children to connect with their cultural heritage and family traditions. Grandparents are often the custodians of family stories, customs, and values that might otherwise be lost over generations. By sharing these stories and traditions, grandparents instill a sense of identity and belonging in their grandchildren. This connection to their roots helps children understand their place within the family narrative and fosters a sense of pride in their heritage. That last phrase, a sense of pride in their heritage. A boy who knows where he comes from, who knows what his family has been through, what they built, what they survived, what they stood for. That boy has a foundation under him that no external success or failure can completely shake. He knows who he is because he knows where he's from. Kids may hate having to learn about history in school books and from old paintings and pictures, but they may find it more interesting to learn from someone who actually lived it. Children can find out what it was like to grow up during difficult historical periods from grandparents who experienced life during that time. This is where a grandfather is irreplaceable. He doesn't just know family history, he is family history. Every story he tells is a primary source. Every memory he shares is an artifact, and a boy under 10 is still at an age where he finds this genuinely fascinating. Before the teenage years arrive, and everything Grandpa says temporarily becomes uncool. Grandparents frequently emphasize the importance of nurturing family and friendships. They remind us that strong relationships are foundational to a fulfilling life. A grandfather might share anecdotes about maintaining lifelong friendships, illustrating that loyalty and connection are vital for happiness. There's also something harder in here. Family history isn't always triumphant. Some of it is painful. Poverty, loss, mistakes, choices that cost people something. And a grandfather who is willing to share those stories too, not just the victories, is giving his grandson something even more valuable than pride. He's giving him perspective. He's saying, our family has been knocked down before, and we stood back up. And now it's your turn to carry that. We owe our existence to those who came before us. Grandparents connect us to our roots and help us understand more about who we are and where we came from. A practical way to do this: sit down with the boy and an old photo album. Not a digital one. A physical one, worn at the edges, full of faces the boy hasn't met. Point to each one. Say their name. Tell the boy one thing about them. One story. That's all it takes to begin the thread. Over years, those threads weave together into something the boy carries with him forever. A sense that he is part of something larger than himself. Something that was here before him and will continue after him. Grandparents hold a special place in the hearts of their grandchildren. From sharing stories to spending quality time together, grandparents have a unique ability to create lasting memories and impart wisdom that extends beyond the boundaries of traditional education. That wisdom, the kind that only comes with decades of living, is the inheritance no will can transfer. Grandpa has to give it in person, on purpose before it's too late. Nobody teaches boys how to lose anymore. We celebrate participation, soften consequences, and quietly avoid the moments where a boy has to sit with the full weight of coming in second. And then we're surprised when men can't handle disappointment. When they rage, deflect, blame, fold because nobody ever taught them what to do with the feeling of not winning. Grandpa knows. We cannot let our fears and anxieties hold us back. Time flies fast, and we need to make the best of this fleeting life. As much as it is important to teach kids how to be successful, it is also important to teach them how to deal with failure. Here's the thing about a grandfather and a board game, or a card game, or a game of checkers in the living room on a Sunday afternoon. Grandpa doesn't let the boy win. Not every time. Maybe not most times. Because the kindest thing an old man can do for a young boy is beat him fairly and then sit with him in the aftermath. One grandson put it simply, "My grandfather loves playing canasta, and playing with him has made me realize that it's actually a lot of fun." But the deeper lesson embedded in every game played together isn't about the game. It's about how to behave when the game doesn't go your way. Does the boy throw the cards? Does he accuse someone of cheating? Does he refuse to play again? Grandpa is watching. Not to shame him, but to guide him through it. Calmly. With the kind of steady patience that only someone who has lost a lot of things in life, real things, not games, can manage. Many grandparents have faced significant hardships. Their stories often highlight the importance of resilience and adaptability. For instance, a grandfather might recount how he kept his family united during tough times, teaching that perseverance is essential for overcoming obstacles. A grandfather who can look his grandson in the eye after the boy loses and say, "I lost things a lot more important than this game, and here's what I did." That is a moment that will echo for decades. The mechanics of losing well are specific. You shake hands. You say good game and mean it, or at least practice meaning it until you do. You don't make excuses. You don't blame the luck or the rules or the other person. You look at what you could have done differently. You ask to play again. These are not small things. These are the exact same behaviors a grown man will need. When he loses a business deal, a job, a relationship, an argument with someone he loves, grandparents' guidance helps children make thoughtful decisions. They offer a different perspective, encouraging critical thinking and imparting wisdom gained from a lifetime of experiences. The grandfather who shows his grandson how to lose with dignity is giving him one of the rarest gifts in modern boyhood, because the world will certainly give him losses. The question is whether he'll have been taught how to carry them. Life is a gift, and time is precious. No matter what happens and where we are in life, it is important to make the best of the time that we have been blessed with. There are no guarantees for tomorrow, so we need to learn how to be mindful and stay in the present moment. That's what the game teaches, not just winning, not just losing. The present, right here, right now, with Grandpa across the table. That's enough. Everything else on this list is a lesson you can teach in moments. This one is the lesson you teach through your entire life, and it might be the most important of all. Children require attention, and often when parents are too busy, grandparents provide undivided attention and are willing to be there anytime. They are also there to listen and advise when their grandkids face a hard time. This relationship is important for children's emotional development and has a positive impact on a child's life. Sometimes children feel more secure and comfortable talking to their grandparents rather than their parents. Think about that. More secure, more comfortable with Grandpa. Not because Grandpa is more skilled or smarter, but because Grandpa is fully, completely, unhurriedly there. He's not checking his phone every 4 minutes. He's not half listening while mentally drafting an email. He is sitting across from this boy and giving him his full attention, and the boy feels it. That feeling of being truly seen and heard by someone whose opinion matters shapes a child. For children, grandparents provide a sense of security, emotional support, and life lessons that contribute to their overall development. And the grandfather, who consistently shows up, consistently pays attention, consistently makes time. He is teaching his grandson, without a single explicit word, what it means to be present. A grandparent can love intensely while feeling less personally judged by the child's every success or misstep. This can reduce anxiety and leave more space for curiosity and delight, which in turn strengthens the bond. There's a freedom in the grandfather-grandson relationship that the parent-child relationship can't quite replicate. The stakes feel lower. The love doesn't feel conditional on performance. And in that space, a boy learns to be still, to be curious, to listen to someone older than him without immediately redirecting the conversation back to himself. The life experiences and wisdom a grandfather has gained make him uniquely qualified to impart to his grandson invaluable lessons that cannot be received in school or anywhere else. Not school, not from peers, not from a screen, only from this man, in this room, with this kind of time. Intergenerational learning provides a unique opportunity for grandparents to pass down invaluable skills, traditions, and life lessons to their grandchildren. Teaching cultural and family traditions builds a foundation of love and understanding. For grandparents, this interaction strengthens their bond with their grandchildren and imparts valuable life skills that may not be as readily available in the modern world. The boy who learns presence before age 10, who learns to put his phone down, look at the person in front of him. Listen until the other person is actually done talking, and then respond thoughtfully. That boy is already ahead of most adults, because presence is rare now. And research increasingly suggests that the children who receive consistent, attentive, emotionally available care from grandparents develop stronger social skills and emotional resilience than those who don't. The involvement of grandparents positively influences a child's development. The nurturing and supportive environment provided by grandparents may help children develop essential social skills and emotional resilience. The intergenerational bond encourages a broader understanding of relationships and empathy, contributing to well-rounded personal growth. Here's the last thing. The grandfather who shows up, who calls, who visits, who writes letters or texts or whatever it takes, who makes it unmistakably clear to his grandson that this relationship is one of the things he values most in this world, that grandfather is teaching the boy what it looks like to love something and show it through action, not just words. Action. These precious relationships are a two-way street. Grandchildren, in turn, teach their grandparents just as much as they've been taught, and for that, there is a deep, enduring gratitude on both sides. That's the whole thing right there. The grandfather pours in respect, resilience, work ethic, money sense, honesty, family history, how to lose, how to be present, and the boy pours back. Not in equal measure, not immediately, maybe not even for years, but eventually the man that boy becomes will carry every one of those lessons forward, into his own family, into his own choices, into how he one day sits across from his own grandchild and decides what to pass on. And that is how it has always worked. And that is why grandfathers matter, not just to their grandson,